I'm so excited to have you on the show. It's so special for me to have you because I read your story. I see a lot of things you went through, and it reminds me a lot of my situation when I got invited to the Tampa Bay training camp. But one of the things growing up for me, I never really thought that playing in the NHL was a possibility. I was just playing the game because I loved it. And because I never saw a woman playing in the NHL.
Of course.
We never saw a coach coaching in the NHL. So for you, at what point did you think that it could be a possibility to be coaching in the NHL?
Yeah, I have so much respect to your path and your story because it shaped me, especially early on in my young years, looking to see, what you represented for women in the game. So we're in a better place because of that. So I don't want to dismiss that. I think for me, I grew up as a player playing boys hockey, and then after transitioning out of playing with the national team, and I found myself right back in the game coaching and teaching skating specifically. So I was a little bit more on the skill development side, but I thought that I kind of had to network and work for other teams and kind of forge that more typical path, but to get to this level or to get to the next level as a coach, as a skating coach at the time. And what I really had to do was just forge my own path and start my own business and do what I love, share my passion, build my brand, my method, my approach. And as I did that, I was fortunate enough to do that in Europe for a short time and kind of had a niche connection there. And when I returned back to Canada, it started kind of flooding in where junior pro players were coming out to my skates, and they liked the skates. They were coming in numbers, in groups, and notable players, rookies and vets in our area right before the COVID bubble. Shea Weber was one, Brent Seabrook, Matt Barzell, these guys were all coming out. And I think, as the numbers grew, I realized that what I was doing and what I was bringing to them was maybe different or at least appreciated, and they were liking it. And therefore, that's when I think the dream was unlocked for me. They in ways showing up gave me permission to believe that I could do it at the NHL level. Why couldn't I? They were showing up for me. And so that's when I knew, and that's when I got really hungry. I just kept it about the work, but the journey happened pretty quickly, and I'm proud to be here now in this moment.
That's awesome. And growing up, obviously you were a hockey player. Who's the people you were looking up to as a hockey?
Yeah, I mean, you were one. You really were. I grew up in a very small, typical little Canadian Saskatchewan prairie town, Rocanville, Saskatchewan, 1,000 people. So I played with the boys. All my teammates and friends were the boys. And in part, like I say, because of you, I dreamt of playing in the NHL. I imagined I could play for the Montreal Canadiens. That was our household team. And so, up until I saw the '02 Olympics, which I hadn't seen women's hockey or girls hockey until that moment, and Jessica Campbell was across the screen as the captain, and I, saw my name, thought, okay, wow, there's women's hockey. But then as I kind of, became familiar with the players and the team, and then I had an opportunity to go to camp myself, I met Carolyn Ouellette as a young player, and she had such a strong impact on me on and off the ice as a leader, as a competitor, but as a leader and as a person. And I tried in so many ways to model who I was after her, and just the values that she represented in the locker room were incredible. She's a great, great person.
So I played with Cassie and Carolyn. Was coming up like when I was done. So two amazing women that did a lot in sport and continue to do so. How is it for you now that you're a coach in the NHL handling? Because I remember when I went to Tampa, not only I had to practice like everybody else, and you got the stress and all the events you have to do, but I had to answer of all the questions going to TV show. They asked me to go to David Letterman. I had no clue who he was, and it's just like so overwhelming. How do you handle all that, and does it get like a lot?
Yeah, it's been managed well, I think. Obviously, there is just the demands of the job, and I never take for granted what I get to do every single day, and the expectations or responsibility of coaching in the National Hockey League are, off the charts. And so, I'm making sure that I look after my work, that my preparation, my job, everything is dialed in so that the distractions, like you say, the other things, they can definitely become overwhelming. But I do think that it's also an important time to acknowledge, you know, the demands and the questions and attend to those things, because it's important to have the visibility that we do now. Like, you were visibility for me, and maybe those moments that were like over the top for you, you know, were the reason that I saw. And now we're here today. How many years later? 2 years later?
I wish.
But it's true, like it is a lot. And I think that, you know, staying grounded in what matters is important, because that's ultimately what they're interested in asking about. So it's a balance, for sure.
And I'm glad that you realized that, because when I grew up in playing, I didn't realize that my story would have an impact on people. And I was just playing hockey, and it took me years when parents came up to me and said, "You're such an inspiration for my daughter." So for you to be aware of, like, you're doing this, but you're going to be impacting people, it's so important, because I think we need more of that for opening up the door to different people, not just for women, but for people to realize you don't need to fit a mold of what you should look like to do something that you love to do.
Absolutely. And I had the coach that actually hired me, it makes me think of a story in Germany, the national team coach. He said to me, when he hired me, he said, "Hey, we're going to have to attend to the media. This is the IHF World Championships, but I'm hiring you because you can help our team have success." And I said, "Great, that's why I want to join." But he said something that stuck with me in that moment. He said, "You know, I see it no differently when we board a plane and we see a female pilot. I don't grab my bags and turn the other way. Like, we're maybe not there yet in our game, but we're getting there." And like yourself and so many others, Cassie, you already mentioned, but even in Seattle and across the league, there's so many remarkable women doing an incredible job behind the scenes in scouting and management and player development, you name it, that perhaps have been doing the work and have been part of it, but we're just shining light now a little bit more in terms of the representation is there now, and I hope it continues to grow.
So what would have been the biggest adversity you had so far in coaching?
Yeah, I mean, there's challenges every day, but for me, I think it was hearing no early on, as you probably did too, right? Like, hearing no early and often. And I think that was what also became the same catalyst, and challenge was then presented to me as an opportunity. And I try to think about that a lot, because, you know, I was told once, I asked an agent, you know, if I could do this in Europe, and they said, "Good luck in Europe." And Sweden, of all places, have the greatest skating and skills coaches. And okay, that was not what I wanted to hear, right? But those moments are a little bit deflating, but then at the same time, you kind of have to take it for what it is and just decide what you're going to do with it. And so then I thought, okay, maybe I have to build my network. Obviously, I feel qualified and capable, but I also don't think that was the right approach. And for me specifically, I had just to start my own business, start doing what I could do, and build it from there, from the ground up, so that those no's were, you know, turned into yeses on my own behalf and through my own self-belief and conviction in what I brought as a coach, what I knew, and that's what I became all about. And so I think at the end of the day, when you are able to take those adversities, like you say, all of the challenges and the things that perhaps were plotted against you, you turn those into your power and your confidence, and you trust that, you know, in yourself more. At the end of the day. So challenges for sure, but you just got to push through them.
Okay, I had to find a question that you have not answered so far. So, because I remember when I had all those interviews, the same question came over and over and over. How much time did you spend to decide which outfit, which suit you're going to wear for your first ever NHL game behind the bench? You had to think about it.
Yeah, I did. My best friend, actually, for the moment in itself, like, I had so many family and my best friends, my former teammates, everyone came together. And so it was almost like a wedding day for me in terms of hockey, because all of my people, special people came, my minor hockey first boys coach, you know, my immediate family and friends were there, and everyone was there together, brought together for the same reason. So it was so special for me in that moment. But I didn't think about it at the time. I ended up wearing white, and I had a red suit, a dark red suit, and a white suit. And and my best friend said, wear the white suit because that's a color that really a man would never wear, and you look great in white. So,
it was sharp. It was very sharp.
Anyway, so I went with white, but yeah, I don't know. And then everyone was wearing blue, so it definitely stood out more. But my intention was just to feel at my best and to honor the moment.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for coming on the show. It's such an honor for me to have the chance to talk to you and listen to your story. And I know you're going to have a lot of success in moving forward.
Thank you, Manon. I appreciate you.